Pop quiz. You open your brokerage app and see your Apple shares glowing green. But here's the real question, who actually owns them? If you said me, you just failed the biggest truth test in the stock market. And what I'm about to show you should scare every investor in America. What if everything you think you know about your investments is a carefully constructed illusion? That number in your brokerage account, the shares you bought for your child's future, the 401k you spent a lifetime building. What if, in a moment of crisis, it could all vanish? Not through a market crash, but through a legal loophole written into the fabric of the system itself? This is not a prediction of doom. This is a dissection of law, finance, and a ticking time bomb hidden in plain sight. By the end of this video, you will understand the invisible cage around your wealth, and you will know the single most important step to break free before it's too late. The grand illusion, that feeling, the click of a button, the instant confirmation you are now an owner, a shareholder, a capitalist. You've bought a tiny piece of a global empire. This sensation of ownership is the bedrock of modern investing. It feels solid, it feels real. But what if that feeling is the most expensive fantasy ever sold? Let me take you behind the curtain. When you clicked buy, a complex silent ballet began. Your money traveled to your broker. Your broker sent a message to a clearinghouse, a digital ledger maintained by a colossal, shadowy entity known as the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. The DTC was updated. In a vast, pooled ocean of digital entries, a single line of code was altered, a notation changed. But something crucial did not happen. The actual legal title to that share of stock never moved to your name. It remained registered to a name you've likely never heard. Seed and Kill. This is the legal alias for the DTC. You did not become the owner. You became what the law coldly terms a beneficial owner. Let's break down this legal sorcery. Beneficial ownership is not true ownership, it's an entitlement. A contractual right to the economic benefits of the asset, the profits, the dividends. But the actual property right, the legal title, the deed to that slice of the company, that belongs to Seed and Co. Think of it this way. You decide to buy a beautiful luxury condominium as an investment. You find the building, transfer your life savings, and receive a digital key and a confirmation email. Congratulations, you own Unit 1701. You feel the pride of ownership. But one day you read the fine print. A chilling discovery. You don't own the condominium. The development company still holds the deed. What you actually purchased was a permanent exclusive occupancy right. You can stay in it. You can receive rental income from it. But the brick and mortar, the actual property, is not yours. Now imagine that skyscraper is financed with massive, risky debt. If the developer goes bankrupt, what happens to your occupancy right? It evaporates. It becomes a mere unsecured claim in bankruptcy court. You are no longer a property owner. You are a creditor standing in a long, long line hoping for scraps. The condo you thought you owned is now collateral for someone else's failure. This is not a metaphor. This is the precise legal architecture of your stock portfolio today. The DTCC itself admits it holds over $63 trillion in securities in its name. That's every share held by every retail investor at Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Robinhood, trade all of them. When you look at your brokerage statement, you are not looking at a title to your property. You are looking at your broker's IOU. A promise to deliver the economic benefits of an asset that is legally titled to someone else. For decades, this illusion was stable. The distinction between legal ownership and beneficial ownership was a technicality hidden beneath the surface of a booming market. The machine worked smoothly. You could buy and sell with ease. The system felt trustworthy. But illusions are fragile. They shatter under pressure. And the pressure is building. We are sailing towards 2026 on a ship laden with the largest debt bubble in human history, a derivatives market exceeding $600 trillion, and a commercial real estate market in freefall. The Federal Reserve is whispering about catastrophic losses. Global financial bodies are warning of cascading failures. When this pressure erupts, the legal technicality you never knew existed will become the most important fact of your financial life. Because in a bankruptcy, property rights are everything, and you don't have them. You now know the illusion. But what is the hidden mechanism that turns this legal fiction into a wealth confiscation machine? The answer is more frightening and more deliberate than you can imagine: the domino effect. This is the modern financial system. A beautifully complex, terrifyingly fragile machine. Every part is connected. And your shares, the ones you believe you own, are not just passive entries in this machine. They are its fuel. This is where we introduce the concept of counterparty risk. Your ability to access your wealth doesn't depend on Apple's success or the health of the economy. It depends on the financial solvency and goodwill of every single intermediary in the chain: your broker, their custodian bank, the clearinghouse. Your investment is only as strong as the weakest link in this long, convoluted ladder. And right now, those links are cracking. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, reports that American banks are sitting on over $500 billion in unrealized losses. Why? Because they loaded up on long-term bonds when interest rates were near zero. Now that rates have skyrocketed, those bonds are worth a fraction of their stated value. The foundation is crumbling. Meanwhile, your shares are not sitting idly in a digital vault. They are working overtime for someone else. Your broker takes the pooled securities, yours, mine, everyone's, and delivers them to a custodian bank like JP Morgan or Bank of New York Mellon. And then those banks perform a kind of financial alchemy called rehypothecation. Rehypothecation is a fancy term for repledging. The bank takes your share, the one legally owned by Seed & Co., to which you have a beneficial entitlement, and uses it as collateral for its own massive, speculative bets. They use it to back their derivatives trades, their currency swaps, their repo loans. The International Monetary Fund found that before the 2008 crisis, the rehypothecation ratio reached as high as 4-to-1, one physical share was, backing 4 different loans simultaneously. Your Apple share wasn't just your investment. It was a cog in a leverage engine for JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup. Now, let's project this forward to 2026. The commercial real estate crash triggers a wave of defaults. A major hedge fund fails. Margin calls ripple through the system like an electric shock. Your broker faces a liquidity crisis. It can't meet its obligations. It files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. What happens to your shares? The bankruptcy court doesn't see John Smith's Apple shares. It sees assets of the failed brokerage estate, and there's a very strict, legally defined hierarchy for who gets paid from that estate. At the very top, the secured creditors. The mega banks like JP Morgan and Bank of America. They lent money to your broker with your shares as their collateral. They have a perfected security interest. They get paid first, in full. Then come the bankruptcy lawyers and accountants. They get their fees. Then the government for back taxes. Then the broker's office, suppliers, and unsecured lenders. And at the very, very bottom of this list, after everyone else has been made whole, is a group called customers with security entitlements. That's you. You are an unsecured creditor. A general claimant. The last in line for a meal that was already finished. You might think, I'm protected by SIPC insurance. But SIPC is a lifeboat for a single sinking ship, not for the entire fleet. Its total fund is a mere $4 billion. In a systemic crisis where multiple major brokers fail, that fund would be vaporized in seconds. It's designed for fraud, not for the collapse of the system itself. We've seen this movie before. In 2013, Cyprus's banking system collapsed. The government didn't bail out the banks with taxpayer money. They executed a bail-in. They legally confiscated a portion of all uninsured deposits money over Euro 100,000 and converted it into worthless bank equity. Overnight, savers became forced investors in a failed enterprise, losing nearly half their life savings. This was not an anomaly, it was a blueprint. And that blueprint has been codified into U.S. law through the Dodd-Frank Act, giving the FDIC the power to conduct an orderly liquidation, where they can treat creditors differently, protecting the big institutions at the expense of the retail investor. The trap is not being set. It has already been built. The legal framework for confiscation is already in place. But how will it be executed? The final terrifying piece of the puzzle involves a technological revolution that makes resistance impossible: the digital prison. In the past, a financial crisis was a physical event. There were lines outside banks. There was panic in the streets. There was time precious, fleeting time to react, to withdraw, to protect what was yours. That time is over. We are racing toward a new financial paradigm, the era of the central bank digital currency, CBDC, and the tokenization of all assets. This is being sold to you as innovation, efficiency, and financial inclusion. But behind this benevolent mask lies the most powerful tool of financial control ever conceived. Imagine this. It's a Tuesday in 2026. The commercial real estate derivative bomb has detonated. 3 major banks have already been placed into resolution overnight. You wake up, make coffee, and open your brokerage app to check your portfolio. Instead of your balance, you see a single, chilling message. Account temporarily restricted pending liquidity assessment. You try to call. The lines are jammed. You try to transfer assets. The button is grayed out. The gates have been closed not with physical barriers but with algorithms. The bail-in has been triggered at the speed of light. Your security entitlement, that digital IO, is not a share. It's a data point in a centralized database. And with a single command, that data point can be frozen, altered, or deleted. There is no bank run because there is nowhere to run. The prison walls are made of code, and they materialize around your wealth in milliseconds. The International Monetary Fund has openly discussed the benefits of CBDCs for implementing capital controls and financial repression. This is economic jargon for the power to dictate where, when, and on what you can spend your money. Your permission to access your funds can be revoked by a central authority for any reason they deem fit, including the need to save the system from itself by sacrificing you. This digital infrastructure is the final piece of the puzzle. It connects the legal loopholes of the Uniform Commercial Code to the bail-in provisions of Dodd-Frank, creating a seamless, automated wealth confiscation machine. Your entire financial life becomes a conditional privilege, granted by the system and revocable by the system in a moment of crisis. The move from physical stock certificates to digital entries was not just about convenience. It was about control. Every step away from tangible property and toward digital claims has systematically stripped you of your sovereignty and handed that power to a centralized network. The people who architected this system are the secured creditors. They are at the top of the bankruptcy food chain. They will use your assets, the collateral they've been rehypothecating for years, to save themselves. Your retirement fund becomes their life raft. Your child's college savings become their bailout. And with digital currency, they won't even have to ask. The situation seems hopeless. The law is against you. The technology is against you. But there is a way out. In the final chapter, you will discover the one proven method to reclaim true ownership and place your wealth safely outside the digital prison walls. The Great Escape. Everything you have learned so far might feel like a death sentence for your financial future. But it is not. It is a wake-up call. An invitation to action. Because there is a way to legally and definitively reclaim true ownership of your assets. The key is to move your wealth from the category of financial claims into the category of direct property. Let's start with your stocks. There is one and only one way for a retail investor to become the actual, legal, registered owner of a share. It's called the Direct Registration System, DRS. When you direct register your shares, you instruct your broker to remove them from the pooled street name account at the DTCC. The shares are transferred out of Seed & Co.'s name and are registered directly to you on the official shareholder ledger of the company, maintained by their transfer agent, like Computershare or ASTI Financial. This single act changes everything. From a legal standpoint, these DRS shares are your private property. They are no longer on your broker's balance sheet. They cannot be lent out to short sellers. They cannot be rehypothecated by a custodian bank. They are not part of the broker's estate in a bankruptcy. If your broker fails, the bankruptcy trustee has zero claim to your DRS shares. They are yours, held in your name, outside the collapsing system. While others stare at frozen accounts, you remain the undisputed legal owner. The process is straightforward, though brokers often make it difficult, claiming it's inconvenient or unnecessary. Of course, it's inconvenient for them. You are removing the raw material of their leverage machine, but they are legally required to comply. Now let's talk about assets with zero counterparty risk. Physical gold and silver. When you hold a gold coin in your hand, there is no intermediary. It is not someone else's liability. It is a tangible store of value that has survived the rise and fall of every financial system in history. It cannot be bailed in. It cannot be deleted from a database. This is why central banks themselves are stockpiling gold at record rates. Bitcoin in true self-custody. When you hold Bitcoin on an exchange like Coinbase, you face the exact same security entitlement problem as with stocks. You own the claim, not the coin. But when you control the private keys using a hardware wallet like a Ledger or Trezor, you possess the digital asset itself. It exists on a decentralized network outside the traditional banking system. It is sovereign property. Real estate with a clear title. Your land, owned free and clear, is real property. It cannot be seized to satisfy your broker's debts. It stands independent of the credit system. A protected portfolio for 2026 looks like this. Your long-term, foundational stock holdings are direct registered. A portion of your liquid wealth is in physical precious metals in your possession or in a private, non-bank vault. Another portion is in self-custodied Bitcoin, and you own real property. You are systematically converting paper claims into hard assets. You are building a fortress of ownership around your wealth. The window to act, however, is closing fast. When the first major domino falls, the system will not warn you. It will freeze you. We saw a preview with Robinhood and GameStop. The buy button was disabled to protect institutional players. In the coming crisis, they won't just disable the buy button. They will disable the sell, transfer, and withdraw buttons. The time to move your shares is now, while the system is still functioning. The time to convert digital digits into tangible assets is now, while the conversion gates are still open. Do not be lulled by the calm before the storm. The laws are written. The digital infrastructure is built. The precedent is set. All that remains is the trigger. You have a choice. You can be among the millions who will watch in helpless horror as their digital wealth is restructured, bailed in, and vanished by a system that never truly gave them ownership. Or you can be among the few who understood that in the end. The only thing that matters is what you can truly, legally, and undeniably hold in your name. The difference is not just wealth. It is freedom. If this investigation opened your eyes, you cannot afford to be passive. Your financial literacy is your greatest shield. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because we are one of the few voices dedicated to exposing the hidden risks and revealing the strategies for true financial sovereignty. We will be diving deeper into direct registration, physical gold ownership, and Bitcoin self-custody in the coming weeks. Share this video with one person you care about. They may not know the danger they are in. Be the warning they need. The countdown to 2026 has begun. What you do in the next few months will determine which side of the great wealth transfer you will be on.